Welcome back to Learning with Mr. G. I am Mr. G. We've been gone for a little while because we have been developing a new project that we are very excited about, which is designed to attack one of the fundamental problems in our education system today. It becomes more clear every day that America is at a crossroads. If I'm being honest, here at Learning with Mr. G, we would go so far as to say that our nation is in an existential crisis right now, because there is an increasingly large number of citizens who question the very value and worth of the United States. Why does it exist? Should it exist? Many Americans today couldn't even tell you what it means to be American. Can you? Can you define what it means to be American? Millions of kids coming out of the public school system every year can't. To put it bluntly, in its current role, public education is not serving our country's best interests. In our opinion, in many ways, it is intentionally exacerbating the problem. I know that sounds like an outrageous claim to some people, but in the next few videos, we are going to lay out the case for how the public education system is failing us as a country and what we can do about it. If America is going to become the best version of itself, we are going to have to re-examine the role public education plays in our society. I don't think anyone would argue that, as a people, Americans have become dramatically more divided in recent years. And I'm not talking about just the last couple years. This division had been growing for 15 to 20 years already, and then was exploited and exacerbated during the Obama years. And then during the Trump years, we saw many people intentionally ratchet that division up to 11. Just think about this for a second. There are Americans, right now, some of them our neighbors, co-workers, friends, family members, who seriously discuss the possibility of another Civil War type scenario occurring in this country. Good, God-fearing, patriotic Americans, just like you and I, who spend time weighing the pros and cons of what it would look like if we had two separate countries. This is being discussed and thought about by a lot of very normal, rational people right now, because it feels, to a lot of Americans, that the separation between us is that bad. And it kinda is that bad for many Americans. For many Americans, it is bad enough for them to wonder if themselves and their families might not be better off if the country were split in two. But what is dividing us to such a degree right now? Okay, so in the Civil War, it was slavery, a complete abomination. Democrats wanted to maintain the right to enslave their fellow human beings, and Republicans didn't. That's a pretty deep dividing line, a pretty major issue. But what is the issue like that today? We could sit here and point to dozens of things, obviously, that we often disagree over, and strongly. But Americans have always disagreed on things. We are very likely the most individualistically minded people that has ever existed on this planet. We disagree all the time, always have. Since the very founding of the country, we disagreed over the structure of this republic, how to deal with Native Americans, westward expansion, the role of religion, the power of the central government, etc., etc. And we are always going to disagree. That's kind of what makes us Americans. Opinionated, individualistic, free-thinking, highly driven, independent people. That's who we are. You might say that that is one of the things that makes us a great people. So, we disagree on things. Who cares? Why does that seem to matter so much more these days? More than, say, 5 to 8 years ago. Why do we see now the level of hatred and contempt being shown by people to their fellow Americans just because someone disagrees with them? If you're watching this, then you are also on social media and you know the extreme level of hatred and contempt that I'm talking about. We see it all the time. Just a few days ago on Twitter, I read through this depressing post of a woman relating that she is permanently breaking off her relationship with her son because her son is a Trump supporter. I had to go read through the whole thread because I thought it was a joke, a hoax. It's not. She's serious. And this is a fairly recent development, this level of disdain for opinions that differ from your own. That's fairly recent, to the point where it is not enough to just disagree with someone. Their differing opinions also makes them less of a person. That's the line that we've crossed. And it's a scary line that has never led anywhere good. I would contend, though, that the fact that we disagree so strongly on so many things is not what's really preventing us from becoming more unified as a nation and treating each other with more respect. We don't have to agree, because agreement is not the same as unity. You can have unity without total agreement. We have, for centuries, had some level of unity alongside very strong disagreements. So what's different now? In my estimation, what is driving our current division is not that we don't agree on, say, the Second Amendment or on abortion or gendered bathrooms or on whether the police are systemically racist. Americans have always had disagreements over those things. I believe what is driving our current division is that Americans, we have lost our common set of shared values. That set of values that belongs to us as Americans, not to anybody else on the planet. That common set of values that sets us apart, that makes us who we are. That set of shared values that unite us as a nation on a deeper level, regardless of our day-to-day political and social differences. Those come and go. What unites us as a country, any country is united this way, are the underlying values that the citizens of that nation hold in common. For us, for Americans, those include values such as, but not limited to, self-determination, natural rights, equality under the law. You've all heard of all these things. Freedom of speech, individualism, religious freedom, consent of the governed, limited government, the intrinsic value of all human beings made in the image of God. These common values are what Americans have lost. The very things that are designed to bind a people together. Americans, they don't even know them anymore. They don't understand them. They can't define them. Don't grasp their importance to a society. This is why we are not united, because we have nothing to unite around. I really think all of our cultural ills stem from this. We used to know all these things, these shared values. We even used to cherish them, if you can imagine that. It used to be that we could be angry over certain issues and policies, but still break bread with those who we disagreed with. We used to be able to have strongly held beliefs and yet still treat with respect those who didn't hold the same. No matter what our differences, we still used to be able to come together as Americans on Independence Day, walk next to each other in Memorial Day parades. Not as men or women, gay or straight, Democrat or Republican, black or white, but as Americans. When we are just Americans, connected by our shared set of values, then none of those other things matter. On a recent Veterans Day in my classroom, I could not get all of my students to write simple thank you letters to veterans to be delivered to the local VFW. Some of them outright refused to do it. Anyway, that is what I believe fundamentally needs to be corrected. And many of you have heard versions of this from other people as well. But it's not just that we are losing our shared values. It's that there is no chance of us ever regaining them as long as they are not being inculcated in public schools. If that continues, there's no turning this boat around. It may be the only true corrective that can really change things for the future. to revive the teaching and advancing of our American shared values within our schools. We don't need to create new values. We have them already. Pretty great ones. Maybe the best ones that humankind has come up with to date. And the loss of them is what I think causes so many of us to feel like there is no hope of bridging the gap with our fellow citizens across the aisle, because we are losing that which used to connect us.